Michael Jordan is not only the best basketball player, but he's the most exciting basketball player to ever play.
Tatum fires away, pumps it in, 51 for Jason Tatum.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Big Three NBA podcast. Sherrod Blakely, Gary Washburn, myself, Kwani, Lunis, all joining you right after our National Association of Black Journalists Conference, which was in Cleveland, which is why I'm trying to preserve the little voice I have left.
Kwani was out and Kwani was party.
No, I wasn't. I just talk a lot.
That's what Gary. That's what they call it these days. I don't party hard. I just talk a lot. Yeah. Is that some new slang, Kwani? We need to be up on.
Yes,
is that some new slang?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I just talk a lot. I don't really hang in the streets that much. I just talk a lot. I just talk a lot. Mm-hmm.
As he talks a lot.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I talk. Oh, wax.
How was the conference for you guys? That was the question.
For me, it was good. Me, it was good.
Yeah.
All my people from Boston University, all my students who were there did a great job, represented themselves well, made some major contacts. I anticipate a couple of them wind up getting jobs out of what happened at the convention. So it was good. I know it was good for Gary, and I'm gonna let Gary go into why it was good for him.
Gary, why was it good?
Gary did not lead a convention empty-handed, put it that way.
His suitcase was a little heavier. May have had to pay an extra bag fee.
A little extra something.
Wow, I really didn't want to talk about it, but
because he's so humble, obviously.
Mr. Humble.
Yeah, I won an award. I won a Salute to Excellent award for my feature on Drew Holiday, which is written during the 24 finals. So yeah, it was very humbling and surprising. It's a great experience to be appreciated by your peers and your colleagues. So yeah, it's very humbling.
And Mr. Humble over here, Gary Washburn, what he's not saying is that his story was stacked up against other stories in the largest newspaper categories in the country. Exactly. The LA Times, the New York Times, all of them, and that's who he was competing against. So Gary, major props to you, brother. You can eat your humble pie all you want to, but I'm not.
We'll brag about you. That's why we're here.
Exactly.
That's why we're here.
We got you, Gary. We got you. All right. Back to you, Kwani. Keep going.
Of course. Let's just get back into the Celtics. Well, this was all Celtics related. It always is. Joe Mazzulla, though, the news this week was that he signed a multi-year extension with the Boston Celtics, one of the most successful young head coaches we've seen so far. What do you guys think is the impact now that the Celtics have inked in the fact that they want to keep him as long as possible?
I want to hear Gary first because I know Joe's his boy, and so by all means, let's let Gary talk about his boy for a minute.
Okay, Gary, what's his impact long term?
Wow. Yeah, I think it's a good decision. He's only 37 years old. He's growing as a coach. I think he's one of the emerging young coaches in this league. He's had his stumbles. I don't think he was great in the playoff series last year against the Knicks, but he's already won a championship in his first 3 years. And I think it'll be a great challenge for him that he's looking forward to be able to coach the team that is not going to be picked to win anything in the East. And they might be picked to make the play-in or maybe make a playoff run, but with the injury to Jason Tatum, it's going to be a difficult road. And I think he looks forward to that challenge being led by Jaylen Brown and Derek White. But I think it was a good decision as long as he wants to coach. And I think the Celtics management loves him. So I think that it's just one of those decisions. It was pretty much a foregone conclusion. Move forward, continue to be stable, and hopefully, and I'm sure he will, Mazzulla will grow as a coach and be one of the top coaches in the game.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I love the fact that they're rewarding him for what he's done to this point. I mean, when you look at his winning percentage, better than 70%, you look at what he's done in the playoffs, you look at the fact that he's won a championship. It's a no-brainer to try to lock this guy up with a deal that's going to keep him here for a number of years. We saw what happened with the New York Knicks when they had a coaching vacancy. What was the first thing they did? They started asking everybody and their cousin with a coach, can I talk to him? Nope. Can I talk to him? Nope. You don't want to plant that seed of doubt in Joe Mazzulla's head that you don't believe in him long term. And I think the Celtics, again, just simply elevating him to the position from the jump showed a level of confidence in him that I'm not sure many saw coming. And when you look at the results that he's been able to compile in a very short period of time, There's no question that this is a guy that is only going to get better with time because he's only going to learn more about the things he can do and cannot do. And to Gary's point, this, I think, is going to be really the season where we're going to find out what Joe Mazzulla's coaching chops look like, because he's going to have to do things that he may not necessarily feel totally comfortable with doing. And that's part of your growth as a coach. As Gary knows, one of my favorite coaches is Rick Carlisle. And Rick Carlisle has a tendency to make the most of whatever it is he has to work with. If he's got guys who are shot makers, they're going to be a more shot heavy team. If he got guys that can defend and are gritty, grimy, that's the team he's going to have to play. I'm curious to see how Joe Mazzulla is going to function this year with a team that doesn't have as many shot makers and takers as he's used to. Is he going to kind of cram his style down the throats of what these guys can do, or is he going to evolve and figure out ways to get the most out of them with what they are capable of doing at a relatively high level? This, to me, it's a great opportunity for him to really put his imprint on his franchise. And fortunately for, I think, the Celtics and Joe, this is a marriage that has long-term implications, and giving him an extension, I think, only feeds into that.
Is there added pressure now for him? Is it more? Is it less? What do you two think?
Well, he got that chip. I mean, once you get that chip, you kind of like, oh, let's see what we're going to do. Yeah, let me try this. Let me try that. I think there's less pressure in terms of winning. I think there's more pressure on Joe to establish what exactly is his coaching acumen at. We've seen what he can do when he had all the tools in the toolbox to play with that are really good. But what can you do when a few of those really nice toys that you used to play with no longer are available? Are you going to be able to adapt and be successful, or are you going to struggle? And if you do struggle, to me, the struggle isn't the problem. It's you not learning from the struggle. I think this is going to be this season is going to be much about Joe Mazzulla's learning curve in terms of what can he do going forward? How can he evolve as a coach? And maybe most important, can he adapt on the fly and figure out things a little bit quicker than he's done in the past? I think, Gary kind of alluded to that when he talked about the playoffs against the Knicks last year. I just didn't think Joe made the quick adjustments that you have to make when things aren't going exactly how you thought they would, and your favorite toys aren't exactly playing the way that you're used to them being playing out there. He's got to figure out how to be a little bit quicker about that, and I do think he will, with more experience, more time, and maybe most important, more situations that challenge him to make those decisions, which could be in the difference between winning 2 out of 3 or losing all 3. Those are the kind of challenges I look forward to seeing Joe Mazzulla face head on going forward.
Yeah, I think there's going to be pressure on him because now he is an established coach. He's no longer a young coach. He's no longer a coach who is, the assistant, the guy from the back of the bench. He's a guy who's established his style. He's very, very confident in his style, very steadfast about his style. And let's see if this works. And I think people are going to say, okay, let's see what happens. Joe, when you don't have Jason Tatum, when you don't have Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, let's see what happens when you're missing 4 starters and you got to patchwork lineups and we don't know at all who the hell the center is going to be. There's a lot of questions about this team. And we'll see if Joe's up to the challenge to put this team together and have it be competitive. I think people just want to see the Celtics play hard every night, right? You want to see the Celtics do the best they can. You want to see the Celtics play with that passion and desire that's going to make the fans happy, as opposed to be so up and down every night, because they're not going to be the most talented team on the floor, as we know. But if they're the hardest playing team, I think the fans will really enjoy that style.
All right. Well, before we move on, I do have to make one quick reminder for those of you that are listening to the podcast. And if you're a fan of this podcast, we hope that you're showing love to our good friends at Prize Picks. They're America's #1 daily fantasy sports app. You can download the app today and get a $50 bonus after your first $5 lineup. And as a friendly reminder, you're listening to the Big 3 NBA podcast, which is part of the CLNS Media Network, which is where you can find the Big 3 NBA podcast, past and present, as well as other great Celtics content on a regular basis. That being said, just to finish up the conversation about Joe Mazzulla, of course, there's still pressure to succeed, but what are you hoping to see from him over the next few years of this contract?
To me, I'm hoping to see him build this team back up and maybe be competitive for an NBA championship if in 2027. Like a quick bounce back and maybe a more open philosophy. Obviously, you don't have the personnel now. You're missing Porzingis, great 3-point shooter. You're missing Drew Holiday, clutch 3-point shooter. You're missing Al Horford, clutch 3-point shooter. Now maybe change your style up a little bit to adjust to your roster and to your personnel. This team is going to be young. We're going to see guys out there who have never played as many minutes in their career as we've seen that they'll play for the Celtics. Luka Garza, Josh Minot, now Chris Boucher's into the mix, the former Toronto Raptor. We're going to see guys in new roles. Jaylen Brown is the number one option. And we got to look at, Derek White is probably the number 2 option. Peyton Pritchard getting more minutes. We don't know the status of Anthony Simons. We think he's going to play. He'll make it to the training camp and still be a Celtic. We'll see what happens there. But there's going to be a lot of new roles. Training camp's going to be competitive. Guys, who's going to be the center? Is it going to be Neemias Queta? Is it going to be Chris Boucher? Who, is it? Are they going to bring a guy in like Charles Bassey? There's a lot going on here, a lot of moving parts, and Joe is going to have to step up and put all that together and be more organized. This is not a veteran club. The club he inherited from Ime Udoka was a veteran club that was ready to win a title. The club that's played the last 3 years was a veteran club ready to win a title. This club, not so much. You don't have a lot of champions on this roster. You got a lot of guys who have come from places where they haven't played, and now they're having their roles expanded. They're going to be fighting for minutes. We don't know where a lot of guys. Where's Jordan Walsh fit into this equation? Where a lot of guys, Peyton Pritchard, what's going to be his role? Is his role going to change? Like, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things we don't know what's going to happen. And so if I'm Joe Mazzulla, I look forward to the challenge of putting everything together and moving this team forward to the next level. I think that's what, and the pressure is going to be on him to do that. You're the coach. You literally have the new contract, the confidence from the organization that you can be the man. Be the man.
Facts. Gary, and we've seen this in Kwani. You have too. It's amazing how the level of expectations change when you get a new deal. Like when you get when you first get into the league, it's like, oh yeah, he's kind of nice. And then when you start making more money, it's like, wait a minute, that was nice when you was making that kind of money, but now you've got the long-term comfort that comes with that. You've got a different level of expectations, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see how does he meet that moment. Because this is where I think when you look at Joe Mazzulla's trajectory, I think the next couple of years, I think, are going to be more defining as to who he is as a coach than he was when he won a title. Because when you look at his roster then, and you look at the relative to the rest of the league at that point, you should have been playing for a championship. You should have been one of the last teams standing. But now, where you're more middle of the pack, if not, and that's being very generous to say they're middle of the pack, can your teams step their game up and play at a level where they can not only just compete with teams still, but can they win those games? Can they be a top 4, top 5 team in the NBA or in the Eastern Conference for that matter? And if you can do that, then obviously that's going to go far in how you are viewed and perceived as an NBA coach. But if your team is, looking at the playing game or not making the playoffs at all, then the narrative is going to be one of those, well, he's a really good coach when he's got really good players. But when he doesn't have a roster full of future Hall of Famers and All-Stars, he's not that good. And if you're Joe Mazzulla, you are in a position where not only do you control that narrative, but you're going to have enough time to build up to where you can get this team back to where it was. And to me, that's the benefit of giving him a long-term deal, rewarding him for what he's done, but giving him enough room to grow going forward. And that, again, I think I am really excited about this season because I don't think any of us, including Joe Mazzulla, knows how the hell any of this is going to play out. But at least you know that he's going to have an opportunity and he's not going to have the pressure of a contract factoring into that. So, again, I think this is a huge season for Joe in terms of opportunities to really cement his place as one of the better coaches in the NBA.
Well, with that point, the Celtics have obviously also made additions to their roster, which we'll get into in just a second. But before we do that, for those of you that are listening and watching the show, we ask that you subscribe to the podcast like, and leave a review. And for those of you that are watching the show on CLNS, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the Celtics All Access YouTube channel, where you can find our show and a lot of other great Celtics content. Also, please be sure to turn on those notifications so that you know the instant a new video drops.
And also, before we go any further, give a quick shout out to our good friends at Prize Picks, which is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Again, it's the best place to win cash while watching sports. Joining millions of users, you can sign up today. It's a place where you can mix and match player projections from all different sports, whether we're talking baseball, women's basketball, soccer, hockey, you name it. Prize Picks has you covered. They also invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. Really simple. How you get involved? It's really, really, really simple. You just download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, you download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
Gary, you already mentioned one of the new additions to the Celtics roster, Chris Boucher, and former teammate Peyton Pritchard. Also, the Celtics acquired RJ Lewis Jr. from Utah, trading Georges Niang and 2 future second-round picks to Utah. And then finally, they signed Max Strugla to a 2-way contract. Out of those 3 things, though, which addition do you both think will help the Celtics most this season?
What you got, Gary?
You would think the addition of Chris Boucher. He's a guy who can stretch the floor. He's a real long, lanky guy. Has kind of been under the radar for many years in Toronto as a guy who comes off the bench and can knock down threes and make some important plays and score 20 points on occasion. He's got some game, and I know he's been essentially kind of out there as a free agent for a while, signed a minimum deal. He's a guy who's not as durable as you'd like. I think he played in 50 games last year. But I think for the price that he comes with, the minimum, the 3.2, 3.3 minimum, he could be a useful player. He can stretch the floor. He can play multiple positions. He can play small ball 5, but definitely play that 4, even maybe at times play 3, and he can give you some better experience. He's 32 years old, so he's not a young kid anymore, and he's an NBA champion. He was some people are counting Golden State, where he only played 1 game that year, and so I guess he officially got a ring. But I'm counting the Toronto year, where he was a player off the bench for the 2019 Raptors and their championship run. So I think it's a quality move for obviously a good price. You're bringing him in at the veterans minimum. If it doesn't work out, oh well, you're not really losing a whole lot. But if he flourishes into a guy who could maybe become a starter, maybe get 20, 25 minutes a game, I think that's a good thing. And, you just hope for the Celtics' sake that he's got that durability.
Gary, I mean, you make a lot of sense there, but I'm going to go with RJ Lewis, the kid that they just traded for. And here's why. 6'7" guard from Big East Player of the Year. He can score. He's 6'7", can score, has shown the ability to score and rebound, obviously at the college level, different than the NBA. But here's the thing. He's going to get an opportunity that very few guys in his position, in terms of where he was drafted, going to a team where you can play, a team that not only you get an opportunity to play, but they have a clear void at the position that you play, where if you come in and you balling out, they're not going to have any choice but to play you. When he was in the Big East, he was one of 2 guys in the Big East who ranked in the top 5 in scoring and rebounding. So you got a guy that don't mind mixing it up around the basket either. His ability to score, ability to mix it up. I think he's one of those low risk, high reward type players that if you're the Boston Celtics and you're going to have a season that is going to exceed the expectations that many have for you, you're going to need someone to come out of nowhere. And I think he's that type of guy. And again, you start looking at this roster, it's littered with guys who weren't exactly household names and didn't exactly make an impact right away. But when they got an opportunity to play, they made things happen. You look at a guy like Sam Hauser, you look at a guy like Peyton Pritchard, guys who weren't exactly clearly on your scouting report. But when opportunity presented itself and they were given that opportunity, they made the most of it. And I think he's going to be another one of those guys.
So the way the roster stands now, do you get circumstances aside for the main players, do you think this roster is something that the Celtics can work with this upcoming season?
They can. I mean, they can win some games. I mean, let's just keep it 100. They ain't winning the championship. It ain't gonna happen this year. Not happening. Sorry, not sorry. But they can be very competitive, and I think because the Eastern Conference is so wide open, they can do anything or exceed all expectations and finish maybe 4th or 5th, or they may wind up in a play-in game or out of the playoffs altogether. It's going to be that kind of year. And the big thing for them is staying healthy and getting at least 1 or 2 players that we are not talking a whole lot about going into the season emerge as players. And I think RJ Lewis could be one of those guys, kid from Toronto, Boucher, he's another one that could do that because he's going to obviously get more chances to play as well this year than he has had previously. And again, some guys that, we talked about last year who maybe in due for a bounce back type season. I think of Sam Hauser. I didn't think Sam had a very good year last year, partly because of his health, but partly because when he had opportunities, it just seemed that he didn't maximize those moments. If he bounces back and looks like the Sam we saw from the title run team, that could be a major, major difference maker for them. Again, exceeding all expectations and finishing as a top 4 team in the East, which I don't think they will, but I think best case scenario, that's probably the best case scenario. But, again, that's the beauty about this team this season. No one really has a true feel for where they should be. They have the ability to really, frankly, determine their destiny and how far they go and how much of an impact they can make. And I think there are going to be a bunch of wild card players who are going to factor into that.
Yeah. How I put this? I think I think I'll agree with Sherrod's going to be an interesting team. I think Hauser's a guy that is being slept on. And like Sherrod said, the back injury, he just wasn't quite himself last year. And I did want to touch on RJ Lewis. I think he has potential. He's going to be on two-way contract.
You better be around more than 2 days. If you only around 2 days, we got a problem.
Yeah, right.
You trade 2 second-round picks and George Day for 2 days. Damn.
Yeah. So he
Danny Ainge will pull up some deals, but that would be the all-time great Danny Ainge deal. If you get trade a guy that only get you 2 days. Anyway, funny, go ahead, Gary. My bad.
So he basically the Celtics let a guy that I kind of like in Miles Norris go to make room because now you got Amari Williams and you got Shugla as the other 2-way player. So I mean, I think this is an intriguing team, guys. I think that there's going to be a lot of competitive because, like, the guy I look like Josh Minot. Like, we have no idea about him. He's played very little in his career. He's a young guy, 6'8". Like, we don't know what he's capable of. Luka Garza, we don't know what he's capable of. Like, we don't know a lot about what a lot of these players are capable of. Like you said, it's going to be like, I'm looking forward to the season because I'm looking forward to see how certain guys respond to playing in new roles and getting an opportunity to play for the Celtics. And that's, you got to step up your game here. And it's going to be, no Christmas Day game. They're not going to get a whole bunch of national flair and glare as they have over the last many, many years. This is going to be one of those kind of understated years. And I'm looking forward to seeing what a lot of these guys do. And I think it was time to move forward from some of the guys. We all love Al Horford, but he wasn't going to be a fit on this team that wasn't going to be championship caliber. And like Sherrod said, this team ain't winning no chip. But playoffs, yeah. Playoffs, yeah. Capable of playing the playoffs. Capable of being a play-in team. I mean, I think they're a top 10 team in the East at least. So I think the play-in should be a minimum because we're looking at the East and it's not a great conference this year, Where Cleveland, New York, in Detroit, and Orlando, might be in there, and those are the top four. And then and the Celtics are in that group with Miami, with who knows about Philadelphia, with Atlanta. We don't know what Atlanta. A lot of new parts. Atlanta's high expectations. So the Celtics are in that kind of second tier, maybe the bottom of the second tier. And I think that they can surprise some people if they play hard enough and they play the right way. They play that strong defense. They rebound. They're tough. They're physical. They're tough out every night. I think they can surprise some people.
The big thing, Gary, that I'd be curious to see if Joe can pull this off, because I think this will maybe the biggest challenge for him this upcoming season is getting these guys to make that mental shift from being everyone is coming after us, we got to be ready for that, to being, damn, all these teams are better than us. We need to play hard to compete with them. Can they make that shift from being the hunted to being the hunter? Because we've seen this all the time. When teams win championships, it's hard for them to see themselves as being less than the target of everyone else. But the Celtics are clearly that. And even if Jason Tatum were healthy and he was coming back, I still think that the Celtics, they would still be a team that should view themselves as a hunter. I don't know how quickly Joe is going to be able to get these guys to buy into that. And more importantly, can he get them to play like they buy into it? It's one thing to say that, yeah, I know we're a team that we coming up, we got to play hard against teams. It's another thing to go out there and just go balls out every single night, knowing that that's the only shot you got to win. I don't know if Joe can convince them to do that. That, to me, is going to be the greatest challenge for him and his team, is to mentally embrace the fact that they are no longer the hunted, that they are, in fact, the hunters.
Sorry, my computer just froze when I tried to unmute, but that sounds MacBooks.
I was just like, why is going?
No, I literally tried to
funny. Miss Talk a Lot ain't talking. What's going on with that?
My computer is sending me a message. All right, well, our rundown is pretty short today, unless you guys want to talk about anything else.
We talked about Gary winning awards.
Yeah, that's all we need to talk about.
I wanted to make sure we got that on the rundown. So that was good.
I'm with that.
Other than that, I'm good. I'm good with everything. I talked about my kids at BU.
BU come. Actually, while you're here, your son and I agreed that you have so many kids that, you know how Deion Sanders ranks his actual biological children?
Yeah.
Isaiah wants you to rank all your children because he does not think he's in the top.
And let's be clear. Let's be clear about that. These are my mentees who are like my children. There have been no tax-deductible benefits from these kids. I've only had 2 kids who I get tax-deductible benefits from.
He does not benefit from anyone else.
Exactly. I do not benefit from them. Someone else asked me about, who's your top 25, mentees?
See?
I might come up with a top 25.
You should.
Isaiah he'll be in the top 10. He'll be in the top 10. He'll be in the top 10. Yeah, my son, he'll be in the top 10.
Okay. Well, there we go. We're waiting on the development.
Kwani, you might be an honorable mention, Kwani. You might be an honorable mention. Also getting votes. Kwani's also getting votes this week. Yeah.
All right,
Gary's going to help me put that. Gary's going to help me put that together. Gary, he's going to be part of the selection committee.
I love this. Something to look forward to here.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah, I can't wait for that experience.
So enthusiastic. All right, well, before we get out of here, for all of you that are listening to the show, we just want to remind you one more time to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review. And for those of you that are listening or watching the show on CLNS, you can go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to the CLNS Media and Celtics All Access YouTube channel, where you can find our show and a lot of other great Celtics content. And one more thing, make sure you turn on those notifications so that you know the instant a new video drops. For Sherrod Blakely and Gary Washburn, I'm Kwani Lunis, and this has been the Big 3 NBA Podcast.